Hello, everybody. We are
Wow.
live, which is the opposite of dead. And also the opposite of pre-recorded.
I'm very happy to be the opposite of dead. That's what I think every morning when I wake up.
Oh, the birds are chirping, which is the opposite of silence.
I love it.
And the
checking,
podcast is now no longer dead. It is the opposite of dead again.
Oh my God. I forgot to look up when the
it'll
last
make you
podcast
sad.
was.
It'll just make you sad. Don't do it. Don't do the thing.
I'm not going to do it. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Wow, the podcast is back because Metal Gear Solid 5 is done. And that means I have times for other things in the hobby portion of my life. Hell yeah.
But I mean, a lot has happened since whenever it was. I know that much.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I mean, Mario's back. That's exciting news.
Yeah, Mario's back.
And
the Mario Let's Play is back, but also it's episodes we recorded a year ago.
11 and a half months is when episode 21 was recorded. I checked that when I was earlier today.
Yeah. And while it may be getting close to the end of February, we're going to count this as the January 2020 podcast of Chipod Ironicast, and then we'll just have to play some catch up so that we're caught up.
I can just throw you some stuff that I've been making in the meantime. You can put
All right, cool. Yes. February 23rd, but let's say it's January 15th or something.
Sure.
Hello.
So I think to shake the cobwebs out, instead of doing our usual segments, we're just going to chat a little while, and then we got a bunch of questions, both via Twitter and email. Twitter, a bit more of a lightning round thing, and the email questions you forwarded me are a bit more in depth because you know the medium is the message and all that, and we'll just talk about that sort of stuff, I guess. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess just to start off, like real quick, hello, welcome back. Metal Gear Solid 5 is done. If you have not watched that Let's Play,
it's
please
so good, y'all.
Watch that.
It's so good.
One of my favorite things we have ever done.
Absolutely.
I think. But also, now that that's done, we're like freed from the shackles of doing a Let's Play of a franchise.
Yeah. I mean, we've got so many franchises that we have one or more parts in that we could always return to. People are always asking for more Mega Man Legends, the Uncharted 4 DLC campaign, but none of those have like the weight of obligation that Metal Gear did.
Yeah. Like for the Mega Man Legends stuff, I definitely want to cover those two other games at some point, but it doesn't weigh on me the way Metal Gear does. I mean, there's always the chance that Metal Gear can come back, but we'll have to see how it comes back before I go like, I'm doing it. We're back, baby.
Yeah. I mean, if you didn't enjoy Revengeance so much, we wouldn't have done it, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like it and stuff like Survive, we haven't done that yet, and as far as I know, have no plans to. Yeah,
like there's some like little Metal Gear things I would like to do at some point. I'd love to do the Game Boy Color game, but I've still never played that game. I still got to play it first. And you know, there's a couple other things I would like to revisit. Like for the Metal Gear Solid 2 Let's Play, I made those like PDF books that adapted the Snake Tales from that game, and I would love to redo those or do something else with those. Because those PDF books are really old and I don't like them anymore. And yeah, there's little Metal Gear things that I could visit at a later point, but there's no more mainline games.
Whew. For now.
Yeah, for now. There are
Bloodshot is getting a movie. No IP is safe.
Yeah, Bloodshot is getting a movie, huh? And there's still talks about that Metal Gear movie. Who knows if that'll ever actually happen, but...
Nothing is ever truly the opposite of alive in this day and age.
I mean, at this point, I still feel like the Metal Gear Solid movie has a better chance of coming out than the Uncharted movie. Mm-hmm. Because the Uncharted movie goes through directors like every month.
I'm waiting for the first time we get to a casting announcement where someone whose earlier cast as Drake is now announced as Sully.
God,
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Okay, no, that didn't happen. Okay, no, for some reason I thought it did happen because they did recast Nathan Drake.
Oh,
he's he is. Oh, who is he? I forget.
New Spider-Man, right? Tom Holland.
Yeah, Tom Holland. Yeah. Because it was originally supposed to be. No, Sully right now is cast as Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like that either. Yeah, I could have sworn that Mark Wahlberg was originally cast as Drake for some reason, then he got moved over to Sully. But God, that movie's been like shopped around for at least 6 or 7 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I forget, did I ever tell you like what the original, one of the earlier screenplays for that movie was before it got scrapped?
No, tell me about
they were trying to adapt the Uncharted series into a heist movie that is about a family of art thieves.
Okay. Like
a mom and a dad and, like their kids who are all art thieves that work together, and I was just like, okay. That got dropped, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, yeah, there's Drake and Elena and their little baby Sully, and that's pretty much how the games go.
Yeah.
I'm the baby. Gotta give me a cigar.
Like just last week, Tom Holland was saying that apparently they're trying to use Uncharted 4 as a lot of their inspiration for the movie now, which I mean...
So why did they cast him?
I don't know. I don't get it. Drake is old in that movie.
Oh God!
Like I understand that 4 is probably the easiest one to do, like origin story shit.
Tom Holland will be playing 19-year-old characters for the next 6 years.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a guy who's moved on to his 3rd career, hitting a midlife crisis.
Oh God. But yeah, there's never been any info out like that for the Metal Gear movie, really. The supposed director of that movie, who's all buddies with Kojima, he's in Death Stranding. Okay. As a movie director.
I imagine half the people that have ever shaken hands with Hideo Kojima, minimum, are in Death Stranding, though.
There's actually a less of Kojima's friends in that game than I thought there were going to be when I played that thing.
Okay, all right. Maybe you just didn't recognize them.
Maybe. I mean, I looked them up, and it's there. I want to say there's like 4 of his friends are in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought there was going to be like at least a dozen. Also, I thought Sakurai was going to be in that game because he took a picture in the White Hallway, but he was not in it.
What?
Junji Ito's in it, though. That's cool.
Sakurai is going to be in the DLC. It's going to come out at the same time as Sam gets put into Smash.
Oh, hell yeah. I can think of a move set for Sam in Smash pretty easily, actually. His forward B is falling over. Oh, and his down B is that he's like Peach pulling up the turnips or whatever from the ground, but he pulls up packages and you stack them up so that when you fall over, the more packages you have, the further they fly out and hit people. Yeah.
Up B is extendo ladder, clearly.
Yeah, up B is extendo ladder. Yep. I don't know what his final smash would be, though.
Some with the baby.
Probably something with the baby. Yeah. He rocks the baby to sleep, and it puts everyone else to sleep as well.
Oh, so he's a Luigi reskin.
Yeah, he's a Luigi reskin. Yep. Oh yeah, I guess we're also in a post-Death Stranding world now.
Yeah.
Since I'm actually surprisingly not getting a ton of requests for people going like, "Oh, please tell me you're gonna do a Let's Play that yet." But maybe it's because it's still too soon.
I feel like you did within the first few weeks, right?
Within the first few weeks, but then it kind of stopped.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still want to do a Let's Play that, but I'm not in a hurry to do it. I do really like that game. It shares a couple of the same problems as Metal Gear Solid 5, but at least when you're done with that game, you're like, oh, that's the whole game. It's not really missing much. It feels like a complete thing that they were able to do pretty much everything they wanted to do with that game. But it is an open world game where sometimes there are very long stretches where not a lot is happening. But at least the stuff you're doing feels more centrally tied to the goal of the story than it did with 5, where, I mean, I guess it also fit for 5, but 5 was, just war forever. With no real goal. You're just doing it. Just doing it because it's there and it's your job.
So how have things been in your personal life? What have you been up to lately that might make for interesting stories and content? Hashtag your life.
Oh, yeah, I love monetizing my life. So, I mean, I don't quite remember exactly when the last podcast was, but I'm pretty sure the last one was done while I was still unemployed and depressed. And I'm not unemployed anymore. Surprise. I've been, for over a year now, I've been working back at my old job at Volition. Hooray. I'm their video editor and I'm their stream producer and stuff, so I run their weekly live streams and all that, and it's good. I'm really happy being back there. It's a super fun place to work. It's also 8 minutes away from my house, so that matters a lot to me, because I hate commuting.
Yeah, it is good to find a job in the same town that you moved to for the job, and it's pretty easy when it is the same job.
Yeah, like it was really rough being unemployed, and it's like, thank God I had the Metal Gear Solid 5 Let's Play, because that was the thing I used to be just like, oh God, I need to feel like I'm working. And also thanks to everyone who was a patron during that time, because it also helped me pay my bills. But yeah, aside from some doing that, I mean, it's just been going good. I'm going to Japan soon.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, Voidburger and I have been wanting to go to Japan for a couple years, and there's always something where it's just like, oh, well, we can't go because what if this happens? And we finally were able to just like bite the bullet and go like, no, we're going to Japan this year. Fuck it.
Yeah. If not now, when? Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, we're going in a couple months. We're going to be there for like 2 weeks. It's going to be rad. I've always, speaking of monetizing everything in my life, I probably won't do this, but I had an idea of, there's a game I played last year that I really liked that took place in basically Kabukicho in Japan, and that's where we're going to be staying. I was just like, what if I like did a travelogue and filmed all these areas that appear in the game, and like
I mean, it could be fun.
Yeah,
it sounds like a fun thing to do.
Yeah, because this actually ties into I think it was a Twitter question that I can just answer now, which is basically like, is there any like game series or just single game that you've ever wanted to LP but just can't for one reason or another? And my answer is the Yakuza series. There's too many of them, and they're all 60 to 90 hours, depending on how much you're playing.
It's a lot. It's a lot of game. A lot of games that are themselves a lot of game. Yeah.
But there is a spin-off game that's completely detached from all those, and there's only one of them, and it's called Judgment. And it takes place in the same areas as most of the Yakuza games, in Kamurocho, which is their version of Kabukicho. And it's like modern day setting too. So a lot of those areas are like still around and look exactly like they do in the game. So that was always the game I thought like, if I did that, it would be Judgment. It's a Phoenix Wright beat 'em up. That's what that game is. It's pretty dope. Yeah, I'm just super excited to go to Japan. I've never actually technically I've been out of the country once.
Mm-hmm.
And it was when my parents and I went to Canada for 20 minutes when I was like 10 years old. What? Just because we were nearby the border
so
for
just
some
to
other
say
trip.
You could? I'm not sure what else there is to do in Canada for 20 minutes.
I my memories of that day are pretty vague, but I think it was just like, haha, let's just say we're in Canada. Okay, let's go home. Great. we were nearby.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is going to be the first time I'm out of the U.S. and I'm not looking forward to like the 13 or 14 hour plane ride.
Ugh, yeah.
But that's what I have a Nintendo Switch for and books. And so we're taking a tiny little plane from here in Champaign to Chicago, and then we're taking Japan Airlines from Chicago to Japan.
Okay.
We originally could have taken American Airlines to Japan, and we opted out because that's like we basically always had to use American Airlines because it's the only one that picks us up here where we live.
Yeah.
Oh man, I had a really bad flight experience with them last year.
Oh?
Holy shit. So we were coming home from New York. When we were in New York, basically our flight that was supposed to leave at like 4 p.m. got delayed because of like, basically there was some really big time maintenance they had to do in the plane we were supposed to catch, and then by the time they were done with the maintenance, all the flight crews for that plane were done for the day, so no one could fly that plane anymore.
Oh no.
So we didn't leave until like 9:30 or 9:40 p.m. or something like that, or maybe a little earlier, but we left way later than we wanted to. When we got to O'Hare Airport, we were really hungry. And it was like 9:50 p.m. And it turns out all the restaurants in O'Hare close at 10.
Oh no!
So Voidburger just sprinted ahead of me and ran to get to Burrito Beach.
Hell yeah!
Which Elena has given us recommendations for, and it's really good.
That is pretty good fast food Mexican right there.
Right? It's not bad. I made the mistake of getting the pizza from the place right next to Burrito Beach once, and it sucks. It's so bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad. But so she just sprinted and found the first employee, go which way is Burrito Beach? Just left. Okay, and then she ran over there. She was the last person in line before they pulled the shutters down, thankfully. But there was some bullshit with our luggage where basically we got on the plane to go to Chicago, and it's there's so many people, you can't put your luggage, above you. We're going to have to check it in. Okay, fine. We get off that plane when we're in Chicago, and I'm just waiting for them to pull up the luggage that they store in the plane. It's okay, it's not there. Where the fuck is it? And they're it's probably in the baggage carousel, which is outside of the secure TSA area. So we had to run out there, and then by the time we got our baggage, which took for fucking ever, it turns out that secured area just closes. You can't go inside.
What?
Yeah, it closes at 11 p.m.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Which I thought that place was open all day, but it's not. So they close at 11 and they don't open until 3:45 a.m. and our flight wasn't until 8 a.m. the following morning.
Oof.
And there are almost no chairs in the entrance area of O'Hare. And so Voiber and I had to sleep on the fucking hard floor for 4 hours.
Yeah, we offered to take you into our place, but then we don't live exactly airport adjacent. So you would have got all the way here, had a comfier place to stay, but for less time, and almost immediately left to go back.
Yeah, the timing was really weird, and
yeah, I mean, we would have gladly done it, but I'm explaining what you said to the people.
Yeah, yeah. It's we also were just is there just a hotel room really close by? Can they compensate us for this bullshit that's going on? And then they gave us this coupon that looks like one of those fake ass coupons you get in the mail. It was basically just a slip of paper that said just go to any hotel. And like show them this thing and have one of them like sign this and then bring it back to us or mail it to us, and we might be able to reimburse you maybe for half of the cost of the room.
Blarg.
What?
Yeah.
So we were just like, fuck that, and we slept on the floor, and then when I got home, I got really sick right before Christmas break.
Oh, that sucks.
It sucked. But hey, I had a solid week off with no obligations, and I was just staying home, so it wasn't that bad. I just played, I started playing through the entire Kingdom Hearts franchise.
How'd that go?
It's great. I'm in the middle of Kingdom Hearts 3 right now, in the Frozen world.
Yeah? How's the Frozen world? How's Anime Arendelle?
It's going fine. I mean... It's weird because in Kingdom Hearts 3, some of the worlds are... there's a lot of Pixar properties in that one, because they had never had the ability to do Pixar movies before in previous games. The Toy Story one is super good. It's super creative. They do a lot with the setting. It's a lot of variety, and it's not... Like, a lot of the Kingdom Hearts worlds adapt just the plot of the movie, except Sora, Donald, and Goofy are also there. Toy Story was a weird thing where apparently the people at Pixar were like, no, you can't do this and adapt the movie. If you're going to do this, we have to approve everything that happens, and it has to be its own original plot that's canonical to the Toy Story movies.
Oh my goodness.
So basically... you get there and all the humans are gone because the Organization 13 bad guys have split the Toy Story world into two parallel worlds, one in which only some of the toys exist and nothing else. And it's real stupid, but it's a lot of fun. It's really cute. It's really creative and fun.
So I'm guessing this is set like after Toy Story 2 and before Toy Story 3.
I want to say
they're
between...
like still in Andy's house, but like Jesse's around.
You know, I want to say it's between 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
all right.
Yeah, because
so
only
fuck
some
you,
of the
Joan Cusack. You don't get to be in Kingdom Hearts.
Like, only some of the toys are in this split off world that you visit, while the rest are in the original world. So the only ones that are there are Woody, Buzz, Ham, Rex, the little alien guys, and the army men. Everyone else isn't there. But it's pretty good. The opening of that world is a fake out that starts with a highly produced Square Enix CG cutscene of a completely different looking kind of Final Fantasy adjacent game, and it zooms out and it's actually Rex playing a JRPG.
That's very on brand. That's very good.
And so when Sora pops up, he thinks Sora is the protagonist from the game he was playing, and he geeks out about him. It's really good. It's super good. But then, like, some of the other worlds, there's a Tangled world, which straight up is just adapting a lot of scenes from the movie, except Sora, Donald, or Goofy are kind of in the background of every shot, just like standing there watching stuff happening. I'm not quite sure how the Frozen world's going to go because I am pretty early in it, but I do know they recreate shot for shot at least one or two of the songs from that movie, including "Let It Go."
Well,
except Sora, Donald,
except
sometimes during "Let It Go," the camera hard cuts to Sora, Donald, and Goofy just like watching her sing. It's really stupid, but it's really great.
A kingdom of isolation, except for these three yahoos who just won't leave me alone.
Yeah.
If I ignore them and just sing to myself, maybe they'll go away.
It's really funny though, because it's like a lot of the time the Kingdom Hearts worlds will adapt the plot of one of the movies, but also one of the anime bad guys is there to instigate the villains into whatever they are doing. So yeah, it's weird playing some of these worlds though, because I have not kept up to date with a lot of Disney movies. So like I have not watched Tangled.
Oh, that's a shame.
I have not watched Frozen either. And they're making me think I should probably watch these.
Tangled is great. Frozen's pretty good too.
Okay.
Especially now that you can avoid the whole like vortex that Frozen became a huge brand unto itself.
Oh God, yeah.
And you have no toddlers or small children in your life, so
yeah. Ooh. I know that was a song Elena was doing for a while, right?
Yes. When she was teaching children's theater, and Frozen was one of the most popular titles that her company did. Oh, yes.
Oh boy, I can imagine that got tiring real quick.
But now our goddaughter, who is turning 3 in about a month now, she finally watched Frozen for the first time over the fall so that she could watch Frozen 2, and now she is deep in it. And when it's only one kid, and it's a kid I love with all my heart, it's adorable, actually.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, you're just talking about all my best friends that I met a couple of weeks ago, anyway. Except I don't know who the fuck this Sora is, but Donald and Goofy, we took a lot of pictures together.
You know, actually, it's a shame it's somewhere in Disney World, but they do have a mascot costume for Sora.
Yeah, I think he only comes out for very rare special events.
Yeah, he's only been out 2 or 3 times, and they even have a Kingdom Hearts version of Donald and or Goofy as well. But again, it's only been pulled out 2 or 3 times. By the way, I remember when I got Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes on launch at midnight, I was there with about 30 other people out of Walmart, and I thought a bunch of people there were probably there for Metal Gear. No, it turns out the Frozen Blu-ray came out the same night.
Hell yes!
I was the one guy in a crowd of like 30 people waiting for Metal Gear. Everyone else was waiting for Frozen.
But let's lurch this segue over to what I've been doing lately. Yeah. If you don't follow me or my other podcasts much, you might not be aware that my wife and I did a week in Disney World to celebrate 15 years together. Yeah, which is where we did our honeymoon like 6.5 years ago, and so much is new. And it was a really good trip. Had a lot of fun. It's a very weird or a very different experience going a second time after doing a lot of research to like do it right, compared to a first time where you're trusting your spouse who was there several times as a child to do all that for you, right? Like the only stuff that was new to me was stuff that wasn't built yet at the time. Right. Yeah. And that stuff still hits you with like this awe, this novelty, especially because Pandora, the world of Avatar, and Galaxy's Edge are just so incredible. Such amazing, fantastic, detailed landscapes and all-encompassing worlds that it's entirely my shit. But everything else is just like, oh, hey, that's that weird angle on that rooftop that I haven't thought about in 7 years. But I remember that. I like that. That roof is my friend. No. So rather than just give a full like vacation travelogue, just some fun little stories. We have. This is the first time we've traveled with it, but we started a travel backpack, which is just buying a plain black JanSport or whatever, and then whenever we go to a place, buying a souvenir patch and sewing it on. And we made so many friends in line from people who recognize the Iron Dragon patch from Cedar Point.
Oh, nice.
So like we're going to do Star Tours one day, and there's a cast member working the Star Tours line who just wants to talk like coaster fan shit with us and how excited he is for Iron Gwazi going in at like Busch Gardens, Tampa, and like, hell yeah, rock on, dude. And then we're waiting in line for something, and there's a family behind us from central or southern Ohio, and they're Cedar Point annual pass people, and talking about how, the shared experience of like, we just put our kid on Maverick for the first time last season, and we're so proud of her. But to hear all the people around here talking about Space Mountain as if it's scary and like super fast and thrilling, like,
oh man, Space Mountain is baby time.
It has. I mean, it is entirely. It's fun. It is fun, and just being entirely in the dark The fact that it only goes like 20 miles an hour, it feels a lot more intense than it is.
It's still super fun. I rode that thing like 4 times in a row.
It is a baby coaster. But and the third one was actually a ride engineer from Universal who had just gotten back from a trip to Japan. So he was just like at Hollywood Studios for Rope Drop, bright and early because he hadn't acclimated to U.S. time zones again yet. Might as well. He'd been up for a few hours anyway, and shared some vague but exciting stuff for Nintendo Land coming to I guess that's what he was working on in Japan, but also like, hey, there's a lot of stuff coming to Universal's third park that they just announced but haven't announced anything for. Just trust me when I say it's going to be worth the wait. You should plan your 2023 trip now, you know.
I mean, they're already planning like a bunch of new Harry Potter shit, right?
I mean, I think the only thing they've straight up announced officially for that new third park is that it will have America's Nintendo Land.
Okay.
But there's a lot of unsubstantiated yet likely rumors.
For some reason, I could have swore that Nintendo Land was like being built over a bunch of really old stuff in the existing park.
Maybe there's also one in Universal Hollywood. I don't know.
Okay.
But the one in Universal Orlando is going in a brand new park, which is just unused vacant land for now.
Okay.
Speaking of Frozen and our goddaughter's birthday, we waited in line to meet Anna and Elsa with her birthday card. So she got her birthday card from Anna and Elsa, and Elsa made her a stuffed Olaf that she's going to get with her birthday present.
It's cute.
Yes. Let's see. We went during Epcot's Festival of the Arts. So there was a lot of like extra food and extra entertainment. And one of the things is they have photo ops of giant, famous paintings blown up huge, but with the main figure taken out. So you like go in and you're in the painting, right?
Right.
So one of them is Washington crossing the Delaware. And so we go in and we're like rowing and pointing. And then the photographer is like, okay, like she's suggesting poses. And she's like, okay, now do Titanic. And so we both start desperately drowning. she meant the like Jack and Rose on the bow. I'm flying. She died laughing. Apparently no one else has done that. We didn't have any no, that's what happens on the Titanic. You die. We didn't get any pictures of that because she was bent over laughing.
Oh man, that's good.
It was a good moment. But I gotta talk more about Galaxy's Edge. I got to, because I love it desperately.
Yeah. It looked really fucking cool.
It's so good. It is a living, breathing place. You know, they don't do character meet and greets for one. They just have Rey and Chewbacca and Park's original character V Marathi and various First Order troopers and officers and Kylo Ren wandering around and interacting with people because it's a real place. And on Batuu, Rey wouldn't just stand around and wait for people in line. That would be a security risk. She's going to get this. If there are signs that say Rey this way, Kylo Ren can read that and then we're in trouble.
Oh no.
So even the shops have pieces like around that make them feel like real places. Like, okay, there's in the marketplace, there's an area called the marketplace that is just like 6 or so stores, small storefronts together in one big superstore. And one of them is called the Toydarian Toy Maker. Toydarians, if you're not up on all of your Star Wars species, are what Watto is. They're elephant-nosed blue bat things with web feet.
Oh, Yeah. Those
Those
guys. I remember that. Yeah.
Mind tricks don't work on them, only money. But the story of this store, because everything is narratively justified, and I have a story about that later, that just to the minutest detail, is the, you are there and these are all handmade. Like a lot of things are made of wood. Like we got something from there, which is a posable wooden doll of 3PO and R2, which is adorable and so cool. But there's a frosted window, and behind it, you see the toy maker working at her bench in silhouette, making the next day's, pieces. And below that and off in the corner is this stuffed hammock, Toydarian sized. That's where she chills out whenever she comes out to meet the guest. She doesn't actually meet the guest. That's where she sleeps at closing time when the shutters come down. The Ronto wrap, good. Best thing we ate in that entire park. They grill it under a pod racing engine. There's a pod racing engine that has been repurposed into a meat grilling thing, and That's rad. A droid continually turning the spit beneath it. It's so cool.
That's rad.
But the best, the first day we went, the way our schedule worked out, the first day we went, we did Animal Kingdom, and I love Animal Kingdom. Like while we're walking around there, going through the expanded Africa village, that around a third of it is new to me, right? Just thinking about how, if I were a local, I would hang out here, because Africa and Asia and now Pandora as well also feel very organic and feel very real. Like real places where I could just come and read a book and hang out and exist in that world. And Galaxy's Edge is 10 times that. It's amazing.
Oh man.
But the best single thing available is the Rise of the Resistance ride. And I don't want to talk about it because even there are ads for just this ride and Disney World as a whole that you might see on TV, you might see before any given streaming thing, right? And Elena gets upset because she just shouts spoilers at the screen. No, you have to go in knowing nothing aside from the basic setup that you are going into the Resistance base as a new recruit, and they're gonna onboard you basically.
Okay.
Guess what? Things don't go smoothly according to plan.
Oh my God.
That's where the story happens. But as you go in, the queue is in this cave system that has been repurposed as a Resistance base, because that's what the Resistance loves to do, finding caves and then laser cutting new hallways into the caves. But in order to make everything real, the queue is in this side building in reality, and that means they have to have vents. They have an AC system, and so there's holes in the ceiling of this cave, and all of them are disguised as naturally occurring or Resistance drilled holes in the roof of the cave. And one of them in particular has some stalactites around the edge. And beneath it is a pillar that was built up by the dripping, but a divot in the top that has been worn away by the stalactites dripping. And that feeds into a channel. And this is basically a geological excuse for the line to go around and have a cutback to fit more people inside this building. And the trough runs all the way down, and you see a glistening of moisture all the way through, just so they don't have to put up a rope.
Yeah.
All of this sculpting and painting to justify this stonework, rather than putting up a post with one of those spring-loaded vinyl strips.
Stanchions.
Stanchions. And that is the level of detail through that ride, through the land as a whole. Like, we did it twice. We did the whole wake up in order to get there for opening, to get in the virtual queue twice.
Yeah, I saw you post those pictures that, like, what was it, like 5:30, 6:30 in the morning or something like that?
Central, yeah. The first time we went, opening time was at 7 a.m. And then they switched to 8 a.m. opening times while we were there. So the second time we were there, Rope Drop was 8 a.m.
Okay.
But, okay, the only way to get on that ride for now, it's not like you can't just walk up. You have to get in the virtual queue. And the virtual queue slots are, for now, because this has changed before, it might change again. This is not a vacation planning aid. This is just one person's story. Is all of the slots open up at the moment of official opening of Rope Drop, to use the lingo. And so you go in the app and you refresh and refresh until the button says that you can load your party. You hit that button and then you're hopefully in line. And so the first time we did it, which was our second day there, Sunday, we got really lucky. We got in boarding group 7. So it was one of the, it was like the second ride we rode was, nice. Maybe third, was a Rise of the Resistance. And it was incredible. Like, there are so many, I won't talk about what happens in specific, but just the way that the ride is structured completely like obliterates the lines between, queue, pre-show, show, like everything is, the barriers have crumbled. We have seen the light. And there are some incredible effects that are made with like brand new cutting edge ride technology, and some that just completely blow your mind that you've never seen a ride do this, that could have been done 20 years ago, just no one ever did, just with less cutting edge but still convincing stuff and misdirection. Like, I want to talk about the one perfect example, but it's the thing that I want to spoil least. So I am tearing myself apart inside. But there's a moment where one door opens and it's not the door that you thought should have. And it destroys me. Just misdirection. It's important. So we get off. It's early in the morning, early in our trip. And I have the biggest, dumbest smile on my face. Like my chin somehow extended. I look like Killing Joke Joker coming off of this ride. It's amazing. So, but then the second time we did it, it was having some problems. We were like in boarding group 50 something, and we didn't get on until after dark. And the ride was different.
What?
It takes into account the like atmospheric conditions that you're taking off from.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's so good. It's so good.
Like I've really wanted to go back so I can see that and Pandora. And like, I'm not even the biggest fan of Star Wars, and I've never even watched Avatar, but like, I feel like I would still extremely appreciate these places just for that attention to detail and like level of storytelling they're like putting into the park itself.
Okay. The big ride, there are 2 rides in the Pandora Land in Animal Kingdom. One is a boat ride, Navi River Journey. It blows. It doesn't blow. It kind of blows. It's like, it is a boat ride that goes through the jungles of Pandora at night, and very little happens. There's very little motion. Everything sort of feels like you're just in an aquarium supply store, having a huge warehouse blowout. And then at the end, there's a bit of a story starts, and there's one really amazing cutting edge animatronic that's very cool. But there's no pre-show. There's nothing loading up to it. There's no sense of storytelling at all in it. And the design of the landscape, which is, the draw of this slow and relaxing boat ride, is less impressive and less immersive than just walking around in the land outside the ride.
Oh, huh.
So for that experience, you're honestly better off just like taking the time you would have spent in line, going over the rope bridge and looking at all the different pools to see the different kind of alien plants and animals and things that don't quite fit that binary that they've put out in the world for you to enjoy. But the other one, the one people love, and rightly so, is a Flight of Passage. And this is one that does everything bad I said about River Journey is the exact opposite in Flight of Passage. So much narrative is communicated just in the queue and not from like reading signs or having someone tell you, just like the landscaping, the architecture, the different rooms and buildings the queue goes through. Communicates so much and adds so much weight to the experience. And then Flight of Passage is good. Flight of Passage is very good. Yeah. And the land as a whole is really good. It has fantastic food as well. Huge portions at Satuli Canteen, the one and only restaurant in Pandora. They've between those two lands, it's space food basically means passion fruit and protein on a bed of starch. That's what they figured out space means. Also boba, a lot of apple juice boba or green apple flavor boba.
That sounds all right.
That's what space means, I guess.
But space.
Had a good time. Hopefully it won't be 6.5 years until the next trip. Probably won't be for a few years though, just because I want all of the excitement from next year's 50th anniversary to be gone, but the things that they built and make for it to be left behind. So when I went there last time, it was a couple years ago. It was also my first time, actually. But they were just like in the middle of building the like Toy Story area. Were you able to check that out? How is that? Toy Story Land is cool. It's got 3 rides, 1 restaurant that we didn't go to, and its theming is very cool because you are shrunk down to toy size, and the scale isn't always rigidly enforced, but that's okay. It's a fun and playful theme. There's a lot of cool stuff that is blown up really big that's fun to look at. I like how they disguise their actual bolts holding these pieces together inside huge like 6-inch wide screws because of the scale being blown up. Compared to the other new things, it definitely feels like using a bold and bright idea to cover up a much smaller budget, because your toys in a backyard, not travelers in a outer rim outpost that fell by the wayside when the space lanes changed, But they repurposed an old ride that was there before to be part of it. They just sort of refurbed the building so that the door is on the opposite side of the building, and that's
is that the
Toy Story Midway Mania, the screen shooting carnival style.
Oh yes, I did ride that one.
That is still the best ride in the land, if you ask me.
All right. I mean, it was really fun.
I
did it.
It's still great. And the other ones they added are a little green alien / Pizza Planet themed flat ride that's fun, and a Slinky Dog themed roller coaster that is okay. I talked earlier about the being a coaster fan, and like it just doesn't measure up.
It's kind of more like a kids.
It's definitely
coaster, right?
Kids and family. It is a double launch, and it gets up pretty fast, but there's not a lot of fun lateral or vertical G's, positive or negative.
Right.
Some fun views. The best part, though, is that the Slinky Dog character does the safety announcements, pull down your lap bar, stow your stuff, arms and legs inside, right? In both English and Spanish.
Oh, what the?
So, yeah, just that distinctive, like, Texan accent doing the whole thing in Spanish is hilarious to me. Is the best part. I loved it.
That's great. I was trying to think if there's anything I wrote or visited when I was there that wasn't there the first time you went. I don't think that Snow White ride was there when you were there the first time.
Seven Dwarfs Mine Train?
Yeah.
No, it was not operating. When we went on our honeymoon, it was beginning testing. Like, we could see trains running from behind the construction walls. Like, oh, we just barely missed you. But we did that a few times, actually. We did it 3 times total. And that's great. I think it might be... I
think that ride's really cute.
It might be in my top 5 Magic Kingdom attractions. Yeah. It is a more fun... its roller coaster elements are better than Slinky Dog Dash. And it has the added benefit of really fun dark ride elements in the middle and the end. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the part I really liked of that ride.
Yeah.
Because I rode that thing like 3 or 4 times because... we had like fast passes or something. We only had like an hour left before we had to leave for a plane ride or something. It was just like, well, we could get on this like 4 times.
Hell yeah. No, it's
same with
good.
Space Mountain.
The last time we went, we got there at 8 and we left at midnight. Yeah. To the Magic Kingdom because there was an after hours event that we got the extra ticket for. And so they reskinned, they did an overlay for Space Mountain and Pirates of the Caribbean. So for Pirates, they added live actors to the ride to like interact with guests on the boat. And that was really fun. And for Space Mountain, they turned off what little light there is and changed the soundtrack. So that was fun. That was special.
Oh, that reminds me that, oh man, I forgot there's a Pirates of the Caribbean world again in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, they brought that one back, huh?
And they're adapting the 3rd movie in that one.
Okay. It's got a bit of JRPG flavor. When actually this lady is a sea goddess and she can be 50 feet tall if she wants to be. And she might be made of crabs.
I'm actually interested in playing that world too because they added they took the ship battle like gameplay from like some of the Assassin's Creed games and put it in that world. So that seems pretty cool. And then there's Big Hero 6, which I've never even watched.
Big Hero 6 is a structurally sound movie with fun characters.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I figured it was. But
good flight sequence.
Okay.
Not as good as How to Train Your Dragon's learning to fly sequence, but very few things are. That's a great scene in that movie.
Right. I feel like I heard that How to Train Your Dragon was like going to be one of the new things for Universal.
Ooh, there's some meat on those bones to turn into attractions, and they had 3 movies and a TV show to draw from. It makes sense.
Yeah, I always forget like how much How to Train Your Dragon stuff there is.
Successful franchise there. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Anyhow, you want to get into these questions?
Yeah, let's take a look at some of these
I think
questions.
Everybody tagged both of us in the Twitter one, so I have all of those as well.
Yeah.
Among my other mentions, because I'm popular. What would you like to see revealed as part of the Platinum 4, says Rye.
Oh, gosh.
Asks Rye.
Yeah, so for people listening to this who might not know what that is, basically Platinum Games start up a new website that is called the Platinum 4, and it's just they have 4 big reveals for this year to announce. And the first one they start off with was a Kickstarter campaign to fund ports of the wonderful 101 to other platforms because it really does not deserve to be stuck in the Wii U. It got funded super quick, so it's going to be on Switch and PS4 and PC. They've hit some goals to make some extra bonus content. There's going to be. I'm mostly on board with this idea of, they're making like a side scroller game that, like, because it's the wonderful 101, is probably going to play like Beautiful Joe, right?
Probably.
But you're playing as Luca.
All right. Yeah, why not?
I don't like that child, but whatever.
You might
It'll probably
learn
be
to like the child.
Cool. Maybe he'll get cooler. That was the first thing.
So that leaves us 3 slots.
Yeah, there's 3 slots left. Platinum for like 2 years now has basically been talking about how they've really wanted to be able to start self-publishing because a lot of their games they've made are either based on other companies' IPs, or if they were original IPs, they're owned by whoever published it. Like Bayonetta and Vanquish are owned by Sega, and Nintendo's kind of wrapped up in Bayonetta as well. Mm-hmm. And so they don't really own any of their own properties, so they can never really just like make a sequel on their own. It's got to get approved and all this shit. So I'm willing to bet at least one of those is a completely new game that they're going to self-publish and is a IP that they own and can control all of their own.
Yeah, I was going to say I do hope one of them is something we've never seen before.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at least one of these things is going to be a completely new game that is self-published.
Do you think one of them is going to be the fight dragons while listening to your Walkman game that came and went? Scalebound, yes.
I don't know. I think Microsoft still owns the IP of Scalebound, but also like they're not doing anything with it. So I wouldn't be surprised if like Microsoft did them a solid and just like gave it to them or something. I could maybe see a Scalebound thing. I could also see Scalebound coming back as a completely different style of game than the one that was shown before. Because there was something about Scalebound, like, it was being worked on for at least 3 years, and every time they showed it, it just didn't. The ideas they had never really looked like they were clicking in a way, which is probably what led it to get getting canceled.
I wouldn't be surprised if at least one of these things, even if none of them are scale bound, if there is a new game in there, it's something that where like a pet mechanic or a pet feature of Scalebound was taken out and planted in fresh soil to be on its own, like a tree cutting.
Yeah, and it's like, I also felt like they visited those ideas in their most recent game, which was Astral Chain on the Switch, which is a pretty good game. Not quite as good as I wanted it to be. Less from the gameplay perspective and more like, it's a pretty narrative heavy game, but it's all very obvious anime cliches. It's a very surface level version of Evangelion. So that's what you're getting with that. But yeah, you essentially have, you fight with yourself and like a JoJo style like stand that you summon next to you, and it fights on its own, but you can also kind of semi-control it while fighting with the main character at the same time. So it kind of feels like they use some of Scalebound's ideas there. I feel like there's probably going to be at least, of the other 3, there's probably going to be at least one more port or possibly remaster of a thing, because they have a couple other games that didn't get a lot of notice. One of them being Mad World on the Wii.
Yeah, was that the first Platinum game, or was that still the Clover days?
That was the first Platinum game, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then there's also its spiritual successor, which didn't get a lot of attention, which was Anarchy Reigns, which was like Mad World, but it was also a multiplayer, like online multiplayer beat 'em up. It was a cool game. It just needed a lot of tweaking so that certain characters weren't busted as hell. To
rewind a bit, speaking about, companies who have rights to a game but don't have any plans to do anything with it, do you think there's any likelihood of a Revengeance 2 among these 4?
I would that's my hope.
Because all Konami has to do is say, go ahead and do it, and maybe here's some cash, because nobody at Konami knows what to do with the Metal Gear name. And so if I were in their shoes, I'd be like, you already did something. Do it again, please.
And you know what? Metal Gear Rising Revengeance was a game with a much smaller budget than the mainline Metal Gears, and it was made very quickly. Mm-hmm. It was made in like 2.5 years or maybe 3. That's pretty quick. And it was also like reviewed well and sold pretty well. Like, it feels like a no-brainer, but you know, I feel like there's also a lot of other no-brainers that Konami has done nothing with.
The only weakness of a no-brainer is a bad brain.
Yeah. I do truly hope that one of those is Metal Gear Rising 2. I don't think it's going to happen, but who knows? There's been vague rumblings that Konami's actually trying to shop out their IPs to some other developers for soft reboots and stuff. The biggest one, of course, being like there's rumors about Silent Hill stuff. Mm-hmm. So Voidburger's right next to me doing a little dance when I mention the Silent Hill stuff.
Is it a happy dance? Is it a sad dance? How melancholy is the dance?
It's a little more of a happy dance, but little in more of a like, haha, this is suffering way.
The ironic happy dance.
It is sarcastic. She has confirmed. But yeah, I don't know. I really want a Metal Gear Rising 2 to be one of those things. I feel like it's only like a 10% chance of that actually happening, but they've also been talking about for like 2 years or so now that like they've had multiple projects in the work that they think are like really crazy new ideas for like their style of game. But I just like Platinum is a big studio, but I don't know how many projects they can actually work on at once.
Yeah.
I usually thought it was 2, but it feels like they have like 4 things going on right now. Like they've got the port of Wonderful 101. They're working on they're making that other game for Square Enix. I forget what it's called. It's not another Nier game, though I hope they are helping with the next Nier game, because that's been confirmed to be in production for a while. That would be a good
title for a Nier game, though.
Yeah. Babylon's Fall, which has only had a teeny tiny bit of gameplay shown so far, and some people think it's a secret Nier game. And I mean, it totally could be. Who knows? Yeah, and I feel like they have... and of course they have Bayonetta 3 that's been being worked on for like 3 years now, and they haven't shown anything of it yet, but they keep saying like, it's going good! Bayonetta 3 is going great! So, I don't know, they have a lot of stuff going on.
So, I guess the answer is Bayonetta 5.
Bayonetta 5 is happening. Okami 2.
Okami 2, and not another Nier game. That's the answer.
Yeah. Yep. Some people were freaking out thinking like, oh, they got the rights or like permission to make an Okami 2 just because there's a Ikumi Nakamura. She was the lady that was on E3 last year that everyone fell in love with because she's really charming.
Yes.
But she was working for Tango Gameworks, and she was the creative director for Ghostwire, a new like horror game.
Ooh.
She left Tango Gameworks now. Now she's been like just touring tons of different studios, and like who knows where she's going to work at next. But she was the art director for Okami.
Oh.
And she posted a video, either he or Hideki Kamiya did, I forget which one, where like she was visiting Platinum and like doing goofy poses with Hideki Kamiya, and then he just said like Okami 2 is happening, and she was just like, what? And then she just like walked off out of frame. But you know, who knows?
Yeah, that sounds like something we can take seriously as a real fact. Sure.
Yeah, people were like, oh my god, Okami 2. It's like, I don't know. Like, Capcom seems cooler these days. They could maybe do that, but But yeah, no, I feel like at least one of those things is going to be a completely new IP that's that they own themselves, and then at least one of those other things is going to be another port or maybe even like a remake or remaster of an earlier game they made.
So Maddie also asks, in reference to our recent Mario Galaxy uploads, what is Bowser's role in the labor/union market? Are the Koopalings for it because they choose to, or because they have no choice? Like, Bowser's management. Bowser is obviously management. That's the easiest question I've ever been asked.
Yeah. Is there any paperwork that like the Koopas have to do for Bowser? There's got to be some level of paperwork.
I mean, the Koopas have to because the Goombas can't. They have no hands.
Yeah, I guess you're right. 'Cause, I mean, it's like, so Bowser is like king of the Koopas, but like we've never, like whenever you go to Bowser's castle, it's just a castle. There's no land surrounding him really that's like, this is where the Koopas live. It's like everyone just lives in his big castle.
All right, because of all the lava.
Well, yeah, I guess there's a lot of lava in the way, so...
Only the Pootaboos can actually live upon the land.
Yeah. So, I just always wondered, like, is that castle, like, the entire nation of Koopas? Or is it the capital?
If only. Well, keep watching Mario Odyssey for more evidence.
Yeah, I mean there is some extra post game stuff. Who knows? Maybe those questions will be answered.
You want to hit one of the longer email questions?
Yeah. Actually, another Mario Odyssey question that I like.
Sure.
This is from BJ. Watching the Mario Odyssey Let's Play made me think of this one small little question. If you could have any Mario power-up you've ever had for use in your day-to-day life, but you had to wear the costume for the powers to work. For example, if you wanted the feather power, you have to wear the cape or the cat suit. What would you pick?
I feel like Frog Mario for a day at the beach would not be so... It'd be a little socially awkward, but not as bad as some of them, you know?
Yeah, I mean... Now, here's the thing. Like, talking about Mario power-ups, does Cappy count as a power-up?
Cappy is a friend.
Cappy's a friend, okay. Because if Cappy counted as a power-up, then basically any living, breathing thing from Mario could count as a power-up. In which case, I would probably be Waluigi for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he's really tall and I want to know what that's like.
I've tried describing it, but I understand that's not quite the same.
Yeah, I don't want to be like a bastard like Waluigi or anything. It's just he's like the tallest. I mean, Rosalina is also really tall.
I mean, the fire
you want to be a space queen?
The fire flower, though, like you just
get a palette swap in your normal clothes.
You just wear red. Like that's.
Yeah, I already got some of that. So
or wear white if you're already wearing red. That's not so weird.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to kill anyone with a thought.
Yeah. I mean, based off his like normal power-ups that are just like clothes and stuff, I feel like if I had to build shit, I would love to be a hammer bro.
But they can only destroy.
Okay, maybe if I had to tear down something, so I would just be able to throw a fuckload of hammers and then have a lot of hammers left over that I could sell? Can I sell the hammers I conjure? Because if so, this is a very useful power.
You're going to destroy the hammer market. Home Depot's going out of business because of you.
Take this, Ace Hardware.
As you throw your free hammers through their window.
Yeah, I'm both destroying them economically and also literally tearing down all of their stores with hammers I can throw.
Thank you, BJ.
Yeah, thank you. I like that question a lot, actually.
Vivian asks, what is your favorite Bernie Sanders meme?
If we're going for the actual memes, that thing of him pounding the table gets a lot of creative use.
Yeah.
Yesterday I saw that one where he was playing Uno with a clone of himself, and that was pretty good.
I mean, I am once again asking you is so good.
Oh shit! No, yeah, I am once again asking you is also really good because you can apply a lot of fucking shit to that. It's
the versatility is what it is.
Yeah.
The one about like cat ownership, I'm once again asking you to go outside. I'm once again asking you to come inside over and over again. That's a good one. That's a good one. Good. But I mean, outside of memes in the narrow sense, back in my day, we called them image macros sense. It's got to be, are you willing to fight for that person who you don't know, even as much as you're willing to fight for yourself? That one's really good. That's the one that fucking kills me. Okay.
It's some good shit.
In the memes, Jack. The memes sense of memes.
Yeah. By the way, if you're listening to this and you're an American, which most of our viewers are. Hey, you should think about voting
for the good guy.
For the good person.
Don't just vote. Vote well.
Vote for Bernie Sanders.
I'm sick of asking people to just vote and like trust. No.
Yeah.
If you're going to vote for the bad guy, don't vote.
Don't vote. If you're a nice person voting for the nice man, please go out and vote. Or canvas for him or something.
Yeah, man. Text canvassing, you don't even have to have pants if you don't want. They don't know.
That's true. I haven't done any of that texting stuff, but I'm thinking of doing it because also they just like give you like a fucking template and shit. So like, it's like real easy. It's like if
people get upset, they're not upset at you. They're upset at the script, and you didn't write that shit. There's nothing to be awkward about.
Yeah, I haven't done any of that shit, but I have been donating a decent amount of money. But
back to Twitter. In the wake of this is from Arcturus. In the wake of Metal Gear, do you have any thoughts on what is it about those games is so appealing? Even knowing all their faults and Kojima's baggage, they are all time for me. What's the weird magic there? So Arcturus wants us to do the thinking for them, I guess. Why don't you tell me, huh? You tell me why they appeal to you. I don't know you. But let's spin around. Why are they so appealing to you? And I will counter with why they appeal to me in the way that they do.
I feel like I said a little bit of this in the very final video of Metal Gear Solid 5, but I got into Metal Gear when I was like 13 or 14. And back then, I got really into it because it was like cool dude spy stuff.
Hell yeah!
With that was very plot heavy and it had tons of twists and turns that kept me very interested. Now I like it because all that crazy shit for a lot of people makes it more accessible to play a game that actually has some level of like real political themes to them. Like it's not like subtle shit at all.
No.
Or anything.
Subtlety is poison. I eschew subtlety anymore.
But at the same time, like it's probably some of the only like really big budget, like kind of mainstream games I can think of that really tackle any of some of the subjects that Metal Gear actually brings up. I mean, it wasn't until we played Metal Gear Solid 5 that either of us knew about like any of that shit with the Navajo.
Yes.
You know, with the uranium mining and shit. Like I learned something from that, you know?
If you'd like to learn more, you can go back to a History Honeys episode that I put out to coincide with the MGS5 finale.
It's a good episode. I listened to it when it came out.
Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, I for me, it's partially like it's a lot of dumb, goofy action movie, Tom Clancy style stuff that's used like a really strange wrapper for more serious topics. And on top of that, it's just all of Kojima's games have just had a very They all know they're video games and they're still having fun with it regardless of what the subject matter is. So there's always a sense of fun there, both in the stupid Easter eggs and just the breadth of ways you can play his games. Like they're all very they pay a lot of attention to detail, and whenever they think of something that's like realistic enough that it could be a fun gameplay mechanic, they put it in. Like, regardless of how ridiculous and small of a like factor to the greater whole of the game is, like it's there. Like, especially with Death Stranding, there's like so many layers of systems just for walking, but it's what makes the walking actual gameplay and not just holding forward on the stick.
Right.
And I think that is also one of the big factors for me, at least, why his games stand out so much for me.
I think the appeal to me for Metal Gear is just the singularity of it, that there is nothing else quite like it anywhere, and the way that it blends so many tones to create a full spectrum of experience, of feeling. This is something that we talked about in the Metal Gear Solid 5 LP so much, that they use such incredible directorial weight and technique to deliver like these soul crushing, depressing hits of powerful emotion. Yeah. And I wish it had more of the spectrum like earlier games did. There's nothing like the MGS2 bro fist in Metal Gear Solid 5 anywhere.
God, yeah.
So, and I think that uniqueness and just the ability to meld together things that would seem disparate, but they don't have to be when your game's 40 hours or longer. Just have some faith. Are part of why Kojima gets so much credit as a singular guy, because it feels like it comes out of one idiosyncratic brain, even though everyone knows in their minds that's not how anything works. It just sort of feels that way in your heart.
Yeah, totally. I miss Metal Gear a little.
Well, Brian asks, if you had all the time in the world, what is the one game you both would love to LP but never could?
The both of us.
I mean, time alone, like we could go in the hyperbaric LP chamber. That would make Death Stranding a lot more viable.
Yeah. I've thought a lot about how to do Death Stranding if we did that. Part of it is definitely not going for 100%, not doing a ton of optional stuff. It's definitely a shorter game than Metal Gear Solid 5 for sure. But it's also the idea of how there's a lot of stuff going on with that game, and I think a lot of it is really good and smart gameplay wise. But also there's a good amount of that stuff that's a little harder to explain or have people understand what's happening, because a lot of it is based on feeling of when you're playing the game. Like there's a lot of different animations for how Sam is walking and how he's handling the terrain and stuff, but there's like hard to describe like feeling you get while actually controlling him, where it's like, oh, I need to do this now so he doesn't, fall over, or I get a better like hold on the, on the terrain so I can keep going faster or something. And that stuff's a little harder visually to see in gameplay. I don't know. I think we could still make it work. I just got to think about it more.
Yeah.
But it is still a long game.
I would love to do a game where I feel more like it's in my field of reference, like something that I could bring more to, something that fits in my personal interests more. Like if we did another Star Wars game or something like that.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I would love that.
I mean, you really liked The Force Unleashed when we were playing that for Gexer Life last time.
I did enjoy that 45 minutes to an hour or whatever it was, even though, and I'm glad somebody noticed it in the chat. I kept playing it like Lego Star Wars. I kept expecting there to be like an AoE smash the ground attack. And there isn't one in that game, or at least not in the opening level of that game. Maybe you can buy one later.
It would make sense even in that type of game.
But that's
to have
why I
an
kept
attack
jumping
like
around like an idiot, because I was like that old muscle memory. I have a lightsaber. I should be able to do this.
Yeah. There's been something. There is one game that I've been thinking, oh, this would be nice to do, and it's a franchise that you've played before. You haven't played a specific game in it, but the most recent No More Heroes game is co-op.
Oh, is it now?
Yeah, that is a 2-player game. And I feel like if we ever did that, if we wanted to continue doing No More Heroes stuff, I would want to actually, have us both playing it.
That would be fantastic. I like this idea.
Because that game's really cool, and I feel not as many people gave it the time of day because it doesn't play like the other No More Heroes games. If you just move the camera so it wasn't a top down and just put it behind Travis's back, I think a lot more people would have played that game. But also, strangely enough, it's a really interesting game narratively, because it is an actual Grasshopper game where Suda was directing and writing it this time. And it's really interesting in that it's like the entire game is a giant reflection on his experience in the video game industry. And it's really cool. And it's also extremely important for No More Heroes 3. And I feel a lot of people are going to get caught off guard by that.
Yeah.
Oh, also, no, actually, I won't spoil that. Never mind. But basically, we did, we also LP'd Killer 7, and we've talked about some of his other games. The more knowledge you have for all of his work, the more you like that game.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
That's an intriguing thing to hear.
Yeah.
Alex asks, what games have you two been playing on your own time that you've enjoyed? Have you been enjoying this Kingdom Hearts journey that you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, I have.
Which games are the biggest standouts of this Kingdom Hearts quest?
The ones,
Kingdom Quest.
I can't speak for 3 because I'm not done with it, but I've played all the mainline games, or excuse me, not all the mainline games, all of the games. And for the games,
how much of the mobile game did you do? Did you at least watch the movie that covers the plot of the mobile game?
Yeah, I watched the movie, which I was actually, I didn't know this. So like the movie that sums up the plot of the mobile game, it's actually summing up the plot of the Japan-only Kingdom Hearts browser game, whose plot is then continued in the current mobile game.
I see.
So there's even more stuff in that mobile game I don't know about. So I don't know about that, because that mobile game's still currently being updated, so there's even more shit going on there. But out of all the games, I think the real standout ones are Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and Birth by Sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 1 and 2 are, the first 2 mainline games. The first game is pretty relatively simple plot-wise, and it's just kind of a fun, cute game that I like a lot. The second game is where everything starts to go crazy, but it's refined so much gameplay-wise. Mm-hmm. It's just an extremely fun action RPG to play. And Birth by Sleep is the game that definitely is not fun to actually play. I still liked it. It's just not as I don't know. It's just not as refined as 2 is. But it's the one that also kind of is the game that actually introduces the main antagonist of the series, and is also like maybe the most important plot-wise to the entire series.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I like Birth by Sleep a lot because, wow, it feels a lot like the Star Wars prequels.
Yeah.
It is extremely similar in a lot of ways. But yeah, it is. Those are the 3 that stand out for me. And then if I keep enjoying 3, I would say 3 is also really high up there. It's very fun to play.
So you're saying folks got to check out the ones with numbers in the titles, but
yeah, definitely the ones with numbers.
Not too many titles. Not too many numbers. That is.
Yeah.
358 over 2 days. That's too many numbers.
Oh man, yeah, it's a lot of numbers. The only Kingdom Hearts games I can say I really don't enjoy actually playing is the remake of Chain of Memories that is in the collection, and which is the card battling game, and Dream Drop Distance, which was the 3DS game, because its combat is super not great. But yeah, I still really love that series for being really dumb. And being also like Metal Gear, a one-of-a-kind thing that will never happen anywhere ever again.
Yeah, okay. Well, now you've perked up my interest. And, Rapunzel's in it. Run around barefoot from her emotionally abusive mother. Cool. Awesome. Yep. Love it.
An anime man made her like that, I'll have you know, in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, I don't think I'd like that.
He just like appears in the tower and just like, hey, you should be like evil and shit. And she's like, all right.
Because I just really like her as a bad mom for bad mom's sake.
Well, okay, she was a bad mom before then too, but she got even worse.
Okay, sure.
And then she turns into a giant boss that you have to fight at the end. It's great.
Ooh, they cast her. The voice actor of Mother Gothel, they cast her after she did a theater in the parks production of Into the Woods as the witch, and that is exactly the same character. So perfect, awesome, Love it.
That's great.
I should answer Alex's question as well. Hey, Alex, you should look out for an upcoming 6 Feet Under miniseries of Beam Saber that we're still putting together, but I'm really excited to play that game. My mech pilot, I am not GMing, I am playing one of the pilots. His mech is called Panamax, and I'm very excited to explain to people what Panamax looks like.
Rad.
All right, you want to get to the big one?
All right, what's the big one?
If you this is from MDCT. If you stack 2 separately made lasagnas,
okay, goddamn it,
does it become a single lasagna, or is it still only 2 separate lasagnas? Corollary questions. Is a slice of lasagna its own separate lasagna? When do you parse when a lasagna is individual? I think I have a pretty clear lasagna definition. What do you think?
I feel if you stack 2 lasagnas on top of each other, that's just 2 stacked lasagnas.
Thank you. Do you want to know why? Do you want to know exactly why that is the case?
Please elaborate.
Because lasagna has a top.
Yeah.
Because the baked, darkened layer of top cheese is what defines lasagna top. It can't be in the middle. That's just the top of the bottom lasagna.
If you put 2 sandwiches, like if you put 2 separate sandwiches on top of each other, is that one sandwich now? No,
because there's bread on bread, and bread has to have something between it.
There is a beginning and end that are touching.
Yes,
I can see it. It's 2 breads touching.
That's also the exact reason that 2 slices of bread is not a sandwich. It's what's left over at the end of your loaf. But oh no, is that mold? Ah, God damn it.
Yeah.
So this one, this is the only question we got sent that got its own responses from third parties. Yeah. And apparently it became a thing, but no, we just cut through that Gordian knot. Fuck you. It's 2 separate lasagnas because lasagna has a top.
Yep.
If you peel the top layer off the lasagna, it is no longer technically lasagna. It is most of a lasagna. I will be fair. If you were to peel the top layer off the bottom lasagna, put the second lasagna on top, now you do have a twice as tall lasagna. I will grant you that.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that too.
Do you have any favorite bloopers, tech-wise or gameplay-wise, from your years of LP? And that comes from Colney.
Oh, man.
Colney Bartolome. Current display name. Asterisk on all of these. Any of these people might display something else tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know there are some. I'm trying to, but I feel like a lot of them were from really early on, especially when I was still figuring out.
There is an account that has been making best of montages of a lot of ours. And I've been following up with those slowly, just for background noise. And in the first multi-hour video for MGS4, they hit reminded me of a big one where something crashed. I think on my end, it was when I was having some my computer had indigestion sometimes. And both of us were just like recording over some Drebin business, or it might even have been like a Beauty and the Beast post-mortem from Drebin. Just absolute... Both of us lost without the other, not knowing what to talk about, being separate together. That was very good. I like that.
I completely forgot that happened. I feel like there's definitely really early on, there were some random times we were recording. My dad would come in and start talking about something. I mean, one of those made it into the No More Heroes thing. But then there were some other times where we just had to like stop playing Lego Star Wars because my dad was talking about something weird.
I mean, if you want to talk about the early days and a gameplay blooper, I think MGS3 was sort of made as one of the good ones when you accidentally white phosphorused yourself.
Oh, yeah.
The grenade bounced off the wall instead of going through the little hole.
Right, yeah. I was trying to hit that guy on the other side, and yep, I fucked myself over there.
That's a classic moment.
Oh, there is a part from Metal Gear Solid 2 where we were recording some of the early stuff live, and I was trying to show off the Easter egg in the tanker where there's you right before you get to like where all the actual Marines are listening to the speech. You're going through a hallway. The first room you can go in, I sidled up against a wall, and if you like peek around the corner, it makes a pipe near your leg fall over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's supposed to trigger an Easter egg with some guards come in, they talk, and some goofy stuff happens. But I fucked up a little bit, and they noticed me during the middle of the Easter egg, and I got caught. I was just running away from them while they were shooting me while I was just screaming, "It's a joke pipe! It's a joke pipe!" I remember that one being pretty good.
All right. Thank you, Colney.
Yeah, thanks.
Andre asks, what do you think about Unchained Kojima? I feel like we touched on this a little bit earlier, but do you have more to say about Kojima set loose on the independent side? Independent, but still incredibly well-funded side of the industry.
I like Death Stranding a lot, but it does feel like I can't tell how much of it is, did he need an editor for this, or they wanted to get a game out real quick, so they couldn't polish stuff up as much, because the story has some good parts and it has some real bad parts. Thankfully, it's not bad in like Metal Gear Solid 5, where it's like, wow, look at this really edgy stuff, like with pods or something. It's just more like, huh? What? This is taking too long to explain a thing that's very simple. Why are you telling me this a fourth time? Or I don't know. It was Death Stranding was definitely very had a lot of really cool ideas. Some of them work, some of them don't. Maybe a little bit more so don't than Metal Gear did. So I still feel like I need to see a second game, because also Death Stranding kind of feels like that weird project he always wanted to do but couldn't, and he wanted to get it out there.
Which is why it's the culmination of everything since Police Knots.
Yeah. He has already hinted at on Twitter that he's working on a horror game next. He's been talking about researching a lot of scary movies and games and stuff for his next game, and he's already been like writing up the outline to the story and all that shit. So, you know, who knows? Maybe in a year and a half or so we'll get to see what he's doing there. And I already have a lot of theories on Reddit as to why it is actually, for real this time, Silent Hills. Or excuse me, Metal Gear Solid Zero.
One of those. What's the difference, really?
But yeah, I feel like with the when he puts out a second game from this new Kojima Productions, if it's like the same stuff, it's just gonna be like, okay, he really does need somebody to tell him like rein it in or like tighten this up, please. But I don't know. The game was still super like on the gameplay side. It was the same old Kojima as usual, like tons of really intricate, interesting, weird systems that drive everything, and it's on that aspect, it's still really great.
Switching back to emails, we got Jordan asking, Jordan asking, as a fan who started watching your Metal Gear Let's Plays, and with a bewildering fascination with the series as a whole, warts and all, what is your favorite moment of the entire series, each of you?
Oh man, that's so hard. I feel one of my favorite moments is still going to be the bro hug from 2.
Yes. There's a shining light of hope in the darkness, and it is the relationship between these two men. That is good. That is powerful. That's up there. The whole end of Act 4 is the Shadow Moses Act in 4, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Just everything from the mecha fight to Raiden stopping a battleship is so fucking cool. So good.
Just as a set piece, that part kicks a lot of ass.
I mean, ask me, in 5 years, once it's, faded into the background of the past like all the rest, but I think the marching through the quarantine and killing all your own men toward the end of Phantom Pain is definitely one of the greatest moments in all of Metal Gear.
Yeah, it is a super standout bit for me.
It's
like,
so,
whenever I...
Oh my God, it's so good.
Whenever I think about that part or play through that part, I'm just like, God damn, if the rest of the game could have hit highs as good as this part does, it would have been one of the best Metal Gears.
If all the highs didn't have to be lows.
Yeah. Yeah. That too.
Oh.
I'm also going to say one moment, it's a very small moment, that like didn't become one of my favorite bits until we experience it together in the Let's Play, is when Solidus Snake powers up and he gets fat. That part kicks so much ass now, and I didn't know how much I loved that part until we saw it together.
Another 5 thing, and this is just like for my own personal interest and taste, is the tape where Zero and Skullface just out like drama queen each other.
Yes.
Oh my God. That was just for me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I do like that tape. I'm gonna say I honestly really like the final truth tape in that game, where the last time Zero and like Big Boss like meet, kind of sort of, is when he's in a coma and Zero just like feels really bad about how everything turned out, and then he's like, well, I'm gonna be like real fucked up soon, goodbye, I guess. Like I kind of really like that, especially just because for a long time the series made it like, oh, Zero and Big Boss are like these like bitter enemies, but like they, and the end of all that, it still feels like they wanted to be friends, or at least Zero really did, and it was just he was trying to make things right.
Man, at the end. Imagine if the game were actually about that stuff, though.
I know.
Right?
I wish it was not just in the background. If that was really the focus of that stuff, it would have been so fucking good. It's just so weird that like the main focus is this revenge thing with this guy that didn't start existing until that game, and it like Metal Gear Solid 5, most of its story really feels like a side game than a main game.
It's the world's longest side game.
Yeah. And it's like Skullface ain't even fucking with the real Big Boss for all of Phantom Pain, and he doesn't even know it. It's great. I like that part, at least.
Jordan has a second question.
Yeah.
Of all the non-nostalgia current games this generation, which standouts to you or something you have both contemplated Let's Plays of? This is sort of related to an earlier question, but limiting it to current AAA business that you think
current
deserves a bit more of a platform.
Okay. And it can't be like a remake or something like that?
I guess that's what the non-nostalgia clause means, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say
I'll like, go further and say not even a sequel, not even a long running franchise.
Okay. I feel like I don't like this is one of the things I've been having an issue with, is like, ooh, what would I want to Let's Play? Like, for the most part, it's been old stuff, because at the moment, not a ton of stuff has super grabbed me in the way that most games I LP grabbed me. If I could say, if it's not a super long running thing, but it's only had one sequel technically, I do feel like I would like to do the Nier games. Like, if there's any franchise that's like, welp, I'm going to do all of these, it would probably be Nier next.
That'd be fun. I mean, I'm here for it.
Yeah, those games are super cool.
I mean, you've got... There is one entire game you have the full game's worth of footage just sitting, waiting to decide whether it's what we're going to do now or not. Yeah, and I'm here for that one too. Like,
yeah, the issue now is also like there is one game where it's like this is not answering the question because it is a remake. Where it's just like, oh, if I like this, there's no way I'm not doing a Let's Play of this, and it's the Final Fantasy VII remake. Because I mean, everyone saw how I reacted to that. Fucking 5 years ago, almost.
Good things come to those who wait.
It's true. But I feel like it's also kind of part of the long-running series, but it's a spin-off. I mentioned Judgment earlier. it's within the same gameplay style and city and all that, but it's not connected to the rest of the Yakuza series at all, really. It's just in the same world. That game's really great, and I feel more people should know about that game too. It's just got a pretty solid like mystery plot, along with just being I don't know, it combines a fairly like grounded kind of gritty like mystery crime plot, while everything in between is crazy wacky bullshit, kind of like Metal Gear is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why that game's right up my alley. But yeah, I can't think of too many others right now. I know there's got to be something, but it's not coming to me right now.
Okay, let's switch to an email from Daniel.
Yeah.
Hey Grant, what are some of your favorite tabletop RPG systems, and how did you get into them in the first place? Chip, do you have any experience with tabletop RPGs yourself? The only things I know that involve the both of you and RPGs are some really old Reds of Prey and 6 Feet Under content. At least 5 years, I think. Yeah, that estimate like I think sounds accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is referring to your appearance in the Danger Patrol episodes for 6 Feet Under.
Right.
If people want to find 6feetsunder.com, that's FEATS, and find the Danger Patrol episodes, those have you in them.
Yeah, that's right.
Most of the other episodes have me in them.
Yeah.
But I got into tabletop gaming through the D&D Let's Play that Wolfshirt organized. Partially in the LP Sandcastle, partially in the Freelance Astronaut Skype chat.
Right. Wow, that's going back now.
And I decided to say yeah and do it because I always wanted to work with Wolfshirt on something. And so that you can basically, if those still exist, or if you are one of the people that was around listening then and followed along since, yeah, you can chart my whole tabletop experience. Not that I haven't played games that aren't recorded, but I mean like my perspectives and whatever talents or skill or techniques I've found or developed in play, you'll see them in all the years since. But yeah, that's where it started and why it started. I just wanted to hang out with a guy whose Ghouls and Ghosts LP I liked.
Yeah, aside from that stuff, I guess it on, I haven't done a ton of tabletop stuff. I feel years ago, there were some other people from the Let's Play Sub Forum that I did just like some non-recorded games with. That was like 10 years ago, maybe at this point. And I also did some very traditional like D&D stuff with some people from high school and like my first or second year of college. But that was like, I got pretty turned off about that because it was like very rules centric and combat heavy, and that's like not the stuff I'm interested in with tabletop, really.
Yeah,
like it's it's the storytelling and the role playing that's interesting, not the combat generally. I don't know.
Yeah, depending on what combat means for the system you're in, but yeah,
right. Yeah, like if combat is about doing clever shit and taking advantage of like the situation you're in, but if it's just like I hit with this, I roll this, I do this so much damage, then it's like a lot more.
You can have a lot of fun with that, but you're doing the heavy lifting. The system is not.
Yeah. But yeah, I've never done a ton of it. Sometimes it's just because it's like, oh, I don't have the right group, or these people are more interested in this type of stuff I'm not into. It's also just partially because I have enough hobbies that take up enough of my time already that like it's hard to get, because like that stuff can take a long time, especially when you get into it. Like I know there's one shots are also short, but so Voidburger actually did some stuff with some people last night because she got interested in that stuff, and it was like 6 hours.
Yeah, I mean,
5 or 6 hours or something like that.
Time flies when you're having fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I have been starting to listen to, because Voidburger was the one who got really into it, so I've been listening to it when she does as well. There's a new tabletop thing called Rude Tales of Magic.
I've heard very good things about Rude Tales. Yes,
it's quite good.
I am a Neo Scum boy myself, but but yeah, I might.
Yeah,
I very well might check out Rude Tales as well.
It's good. They're bi-weekly updates. There's 6 or 7 episodes in, I think. But yeah, the DM is Branson Reese, who you might recognize from, his comics and stuff he does online, and a bunch of other like Twitter artists and stuff there. They're all very funny. And it's a very funny thing almost from the get-go. Like there's not a lot of, there's not much awkward time before everyone kind of gets used to what's going on and getting into their roles. So, but yeah, it's pretty good. But yeah, I've never played a lot. Maybe one day in the future, I'll get more into that stuff because it is pretty cool. And there's so many different, there's so many of them. There's so many different types of games you could play.
It's true. It's true. Daniel, I did not skip the question about my favorite tabletop RPG systems. I just got to talk about Final Bid again because I love it. I love it so much. I love it so much that I have, since the game came out, and in fact since just a couple of months ago, written my own game based on it. It is a 2-player version called Last Shooting that is all about mech fights. It is all about a rivalry between mech pilots that resolves itself in 3 scenes. And I'm really proud of it. I'm gonna release it eventually. It's gone through a couple playtest drafts now. Once I just set aside enough cash to get a good cover illustration that it deserves, even if I do eventually sell it, it will never make back that amount of money.
Right.
It is a narrow cast, but I'm proud of it all the same.
Nice.
Nick asks, are you used to appearing on camera more now because of the Volition streams you do? I guess this is just to you. If so, you think that comfortability will lead to anything in the C&A content or nah?
I mean, yeah, I've definitely gotten more used to being on camera. It never really bothered me. I just wasn't used to it, I guess. I would say the thing that's been harder than being on camera for all the live stream stuff I do for Volition is doing interviews of people. It's like one of the big things I do at Volition for their streams right now are these things called dev chats. So basically we get one person from the studio on, and I kind of just interview them, just kind of a casual one-on-one thing. Not a lot of pre-written questions, except for like generic ones that can apply to everybody who works there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just interviewing them on, how they got there, their history in the games industry, what their role is, and what that entails on like a daily basis. So kind of just trying to show more of like the behind the scenes shit and like a actual kind of more granular way. Because we're like, one day I'll have an artist on, next week I'll have a producer on, and those are very different roles. And like, how do they interact together and all that stuff? I really like doing that, but also at the same time, different person on every week, and I gotta like interview them and kind of come up with questions on the spot. If something interesting pops up in my head and something, that stuff's a little more difficult because I'm not used to interviewing people like that, and I'm still definitely improving on that and trying to work on that. As far as like more live, like on camera stuff with us for that, I mean, it's not out of the question at all. If we wanted to do something else, if for some reason we did drunk game history, whatever, for a different game,
the
or
Uncharted
something.
one would be a lot shorter. Like, then he stole this, then he stole this. It was bad for his marriage, but they got through
it. Sully was there. He was fun. He's the fun one. But yeah, it's I almost did a live on camera thing at the start of the year, but like I mentioned earlier with my bad plane trip experience, I got real sick, which kept me from doing it. But I was going to film myself talking about like my games of the year for 2019, but that didn't end up happening. It's too late for that now. So, oh well. Maybe next year or something.
Let's see. The next question, I think I've been jumping around trying to like find thematic threads. So if I miss one, I apologize. But one that we got in two places. Welp, it's Kelp asks me directly, how's it been getting into the Gundam franchise? Any favorite series, movies, etc.? And one of our emailers asked specifically if I'd seen Turn A yet. And no, I haven't. I can answer that one quickly. Not yet. It is definitely on my, it's near the top of my to-watch list. I would be slightly more excited to watch Double Zeta next, just for like, to finish the original Tamino 80s stuff. But again, I guess not necessarily everybody follows me on Twitter. I haven't been talking about it that much on our videos, aside from a short period in late Metal Gear Solid 5. But around last spring, there was a lot of Gundam in the air, and I just threw up my hands and said, fuck it, I'll try this out. I might like it. And so I watched the only Gundam that was on Netflix at the time, Unicorn, which people say is a bad place to start. And I say, well, it worked on me. So how bad can it be? But no, I've really, really been enjoying it. I've slowed down because I've started running out of things that are like legally available to stream. So,
yeah, a lot of it's on Hulu.
Is it? Okay.
Hulu has a lot of Gundam on it. Last time I looked. So
does like Crunchyroll, but I'm pretty much running out there. They added Iron-Blooded Orphans to Netflix after I finished watching it, and that's a good show, folks. But no, I fucking watched Igloo and enjoyed MS Igloo a lot more than I expected. It still looks like a PS2 cutscene, but I kind of like the story structure of it. But I don't know. I kind of wish this question was more focused, so I could not feel like I'm going to ramble for another hour. But as for favorites, I really, really like 8th MS Team, War in the Pocket. The original series is so, like, I don't want to watch the compilation movies that people always suggest, because I like the full, 42, 43 episodes so much. It would hurt me to see things get cut, because I know, knowing me, it's the like really introspective moments that just hang there. That would be most likely to get cut. Like I like the episode where a bunch of no-name Xeon guys put time bombs on the Gundam and then just start cheering for Amuro as it becomes a spectator sport for them, whether this cool guy saves the day or whether their plan actually works and they kill the guy. I like the episode where Garma's girlfriend comes to assassinate Amuro. She slips and dies by accident, and they all give her a funeral because they don't know who the fuck this lady is or why she was trying to kill them. But she deserves a burial anyway, and it's all very awkward.
Oh man,
I bet that's not in the movie.
Yeah, probably
not. But of the full-length series I've watched, the original Gundam is the best. Iron-Blooded Orphans is a close second. And just generally all of the OVAs set in the Universal Century, I've gotten something out of, if not loved. Like starting with Unicorn and going to a lot of things, there are things I like more than Unicorn now, but there's very, very little, maybe nothing I like better than the last episode of Unicorn. The ending is so good to me.
Now I have a question about, because I've watched some Gundam, not as much as you have. I know you were watching it for a bit. I don't know if you got around to finishing it, but how do you feel about the joke Gundam, G Gundam?
I think it had a really slow start, but after about a third of the way through, I started really loving it. Once the Shuffle Alliance became the Shuffle Alliance, once these one-off characters turned recurring characters became the cast, that is when I think the show got really good. And I just love that show by the end. G Gundam's very good.
Yeah.
G Gundam is probably my third favorite full series that I've watched.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'm actually really happy you like that, because I told Voidberger about G Gundam. I showed her like a funny clip from the first episode of the English dub like 2 years ago, and I actually got her into watching it because I watched that whole show when it originally ran on Toonami when I was like 12 years old or something. And I actually think I like it more now as an adult than I did as a kid.
I think the beginning, when it's just
kind of like
Domon and Rain, like you just get sick of that relationship that's not doing anything or going anywhere.
Yeah.
But once there is a more full cast, and you can break off in different combinations and play off different ways, it gets to be a much, much better show.
Yeah, and like the first, until the Shuffle Alliance stuff, basically, it's also much more of just kind of a Gundam of the Week show.
And even Gundam. After that, it just becomes like 4 to 5 episode mini arcs that just repeat the same. Like, this is the one episode where he trains with Chipod in Guyana, and this is the one episode where like, but even that repetition doesn't feel as bad as the first 13, 18 episodes.
Yeah, it's like 13-ish, I think. You watched it with the English dub, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that means you got to listen to the superior version of the episode where Chipod has to fight the clown Gundam man, and Rain sings him the Pledge of Allegiance or something.
America the Beautiful.
Yeah, America the Beautiful, because that's what quells his fear of clowns or something. Because in the original Japanese dub, it's like a unique song they wrote for the show. But
is it? That sucks. That's terrible.
It's Rain's voice actress in the Japanese dub singing like a song written for the show.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Get out. Good day, sir.
I'm scared of clowns. Please remind me of my patriotism. Oh, by the way, when I go to Japan, I'm probably going to visit the giant unicorn Gundam.
Okay, I didn't want to say, but it's like only an hour or so from the neighborhood you say you'll be staying in. I did check in the course of this show.
I'm definitely going to visit it, and I'm definitely going to try and be around there while it's transforming.
It's good. It's good.
It's fucking cool.
I mean, this time last year, it was a thing I was vaguely aware of, and now I'm a guy with 6 finished Gunpla, 1 waiting for pan lining and decals, and 1 in the box.
I was about to ask how many of those you had built at this point, because I feel like it was a decent amount.
There you go. There's the amount. High grade RX-78-2 Revive. That's the original Gundam, and the latest high grade version of it until this year, because they're putting out like 2 or 3 more for the anniversary. High grade Mark II from Zeta. High grade ground type from 8th MS team. The only master grade I've done so far is the Alex from War in the Pocket. That was fun. I want to get. I'm torn about whether I should get the master grade Barbatos, because if I do, that means I know I won't let myself get an eventual Barbatos Lupus from the 2nd season of Iron Blooded Orphans. But also,
I totally get that.
Right? Yeah. So I don't have that. Maybe I'll break down and get it. Maybe I won't. But real grades I've been really enjoying. I got the real grade Zephrontis from 0088. What's the subtitle? Stardust Memory.
Oh, yeah.
The real grade Unicorn, of course, which is why I wanted to get into the hobby because I saw that mod, like, this looks fucking dope. People who build these say it's fucking awesome, but I want to get a cheaper, simpler one to see if I even like it in the first place. Turns out I do. And I love my Real Grade Unicorn. And I just finished building, before my trip, the Real Grade New Gundam from Char's Counterattack.
Oh, okay.
Which,
Yeah, I haven't built any of those, but when I was a kid, I had like the lowest grade Gundams, mostly Gundam Wing, because that's what I liked back then. But I really did enjoy building those, so someday I might grab a more recent kit and build one, because it's pretty fun.
Unbuilt in-box one is the limited edition G40, the redesign of the original by the guy that designed the Ferrari Enzo.
Oh, wow. Oh, by the way, if I can recommend a Gundam-like show to you, you might actually like the Zone of the Enders anime.
I might like the Zone of the Enders anime. Who knows?
It's definitely, it feels pretty similar to some Gundam shows.
Like, I fucking watched Build Fighters Try, okay? Like, I'm running out.
Yeah.
Just waiting for their official channel to, like, sub in like Victory or G-Reco or whatever.
Yeah. The entire Zone of the Enders show is on YouTube as well too, last time I checked.
Nice.
So it's really easy to watch. But yeah, it is a fun pairing of a drunk alcoholic space trucker estranged from his family accidentally getting into a Jehuti-like orbital frame that's bright pink. I remember it being a pretty decent show, actually. It's also set between Zone of the Enders 1 and 2 for the most part, except for, I think the later tail end of the show is after 2. I forget, but I remember it being pretty fun. Oh, also, we have a question from the chat while we're streaming this live. 294 Coolio asking you, do you have any experience with FFG's Warhammer 40K or L5R RPG systems?
I have not played any of their 40K games or Legend of the Five Rings. RIP to FFG, pour one out for a real one. They got liquidated very recently, and so people who are fans of their library of titles are waiting to see who picks that up or what that means for print runs. Whoopsie. Yeah, that's what happens when your parent company gets bought by venture capital. It is a ticking clock, and that clock done rang.
Something I mentioned, I just remembered to bring up here, talking about tabletop stuff. So there is I'm trying to find I don't want to get the name of this company wrong. Trying to find it here. So there is a kind of local board game company near me who actually made a board game adaptation of the first video game I worked on, and it just recently came out.
Huh.
There is an Ages of Mayhem Pride of Babylon board game.
Wow.
I have not shown you this. Here, I'm going to actually just link the page to you.
Do you think it will sell more copies than the video game?
I'm not sure. This is a very... So Academy Games makes a lot of like really serious long form board games. But if you just take a look at this board game... That's a lot of
cardboard.
It's a lot of cardboard.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah. So this had been in the works for like roughly around the same time the game released, or a little bit beforehand.
I guess.
But like, I did not claim a copy of this, but like anyone at the studio who wanted it got it for free. I thought it was really cool, and I kind of wanted to get one, but it's also massive, and I do not play board games very much.
Yeah, just I'm seeing this 3D game board and all these pieces and imagining the box. It is not a small box in my imagination.
And there's like dozens of miniatures in this thing, because it's not. It's like a good amount of the playable agents from the game, a lot of the villains, a lot of the grunts. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, so this board game I haven't seen it played in front of me, but it's like a randomly generated campaign where, like, you see there's multiple tiers of like little cardboard floors on different parts of the map. Those are like the interiors of different buildings. And every time you play a game, like those places are in different spots of the board and they're built up with different floors. And it seems insane.
And then you can eventually collapse the building with all of its floors.
Yeah. But that box itself, just the base game, weighs like fucking 15 pounds or something. Oof. It is crazy. Oof. And like when people got all of their stuff, because I was taking pictures of when the truck with all the games was there and people were lining up to get their stuff like a week or two ago. They were getting all the expansions too, which is like another 4 boxes of stuff, and as well as some extra decks of cards. It is like 60 pounds of board game. It is crazy.
That's a lot of game.
But yeah, if for some reason you're interested in like playing a huge, gigantic, super like in-depth board game, I do have a recommendation there for anybody listening. But oh wow, we just got another question in Twitter right now. From Mike Abbages asking, dream jobs, what game studio would you most like to work at? And also asking me if I ever applied at Kojima Productions. I have not. I don't know any Japanese, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, there are definitely people who work at Kojima Productions who are like American and primarily speak English, but you got to know at least some Japanese that work there.
So you're saying that this trip in May isn't a vacation; it's an immersion language experience.
Yeah. I'm very happy that Voiberger has been learning Japanese for a few years now.
I'm tying together the dots to fill out my conspiracy board.
Oh man. Like dream like game jobs, like I don't really know. Like I guess it would be working at like a Platinum or Kojima Productions, or even like working on a Final Fantasy game or something. I don't know, just it's weird because it's like, ooh, wouldn't it be great to make the games that, I loved growing up with? But at the same time, I feel like, oh man, wouldn't that maybe kind of ruin that series for me in a way? Because I'm going to be, spending at least 40 hours a week for years working on the latest of whatever the franchise that is.
I mean, so I don't know. I feel like the dream is always like having your own studio, right? The being in control, and maybe not in the end owning the final product, but at least being able to see yourself reflected in it in a much more comprehensive way.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if I had a dream job, it would be being able to make my own game at my own studio or something like that. But...
And that's why you should check out Last Shooting, my self-published 2-player tabletop game that's coming out eventually.
I mean, I guess that is the beauty of that type of stuff, is that it's much easier to actually make a full game. I will entirely on your own.
Once I write off the cost of art and layout, it will eventually buy me lunch. Ooh, I have that much confidence in the market
I bet that
share.
Lunch is going to taste. I bet that lunch will taste really good.
Hell yeah! I'm going to get the Popeyes chicken sandwich.
Oh fuck yeah! Do we have any more questions?
Unless there are a few that are stuff we've talked about before, or I don't think we're expecting serious answers, but I think we got the rest of them.
Yeah, I think that covers just about everything.
Yeah.
It's nice to start up the podcast again. I miss doing it.
Next time it won't be nearly 2 years. So then we'll have a more structured bit of segments. But this is shaking the cobwebs out, getting back in the swing of things. And it is, aside from directly reaching out to us, it is, which is always available. It is a fun way to get to interact with people on a different scale. And thanks to the people who joined us live for joining us live. Shout outs to all you in the chat.
And if you're listening to this and you want to send us questions for next month's podcast, which will probably come sooner
than a month, you say?
It's almost the end of February already. Send those to chipcheesem@chipandironicast.com. And speaking of our website, I haven't been able to update it in a very long time because Metal Gear Solid 5 took so much work that I was just like, I can't deal with the website anymore. Part of that is because our website has always been made entirely by me, and I don't have time for that anymore. And also, I'm not skilled enough to make a nice website anymore. So hopefully sometime later in the year, I'll be reaching out to a web designer or something so that we can make something really nice. That'll be a lot easier to update, to the point where like maybe you would even be able to update it too if you wanted to like write something or post the other projects you do. We can have those as like sister sites to ours or something.
Other projects? Like what? Do you mean like my 3 other podcasts that I should plug in here right now? Actually, this is a great time to do it because the 3 projects I'm about to name, their most recent episodes at the time of recording are some of the best from each of them, I think. So you can hear my wife and I talking about historical topics at History Honeys. You can find that everywhere podcasts are found. Our most recent is about the selling of the Iraq War. So I think it's pretty timely. It's maybe the most recent history we've ever done. It's only 17 years ago. But you can also hear us talk about every single episode of Riverdale and lots of other related topics at Sex Archie. Our most recent episode is on Chapter 70, where we had a lot of fun digressions, but also it's when the show caught up to its 9 months worth of flash forwards, and we see Jughead actually die. By the way, this is a show where Jughead dies. Jughead, no. 70 episodes in, after being teased in a flash forward in the season 3 finale.
Oh, man.
And it got a brief mention earlier, but 6 Feet Under, the actual play tabletop game podcast that I run one of the games, play in many of the others, edit occasionally. I'm well involved in 6 Feet Under. The most recent episode is called Isolde Alone, and that is a one-on-one session between Poorweather and myself, where her character in my in the campaign I'm GMing has always had a secret allegiance, and this is when she goes off on a mission for them against the body the rest of the party is a member of, and it's time for rubber to hit the road and see what's really going on under the hood of that character. And I'm really proud of how that one came out.
Yeah, it's something I've always wanted to, because like we always do get questions like from people who watch more of the Let's Play stuff, just like, where can I find these things? So it's just like, man, these should really be linked on our website. That's fair. Yeah, they should really be on there.
So check out all 3 of those on whatever podcast app brought you to this, and you'll find them there, I'm sure. And if not, talk to me. We'll make something happen.
Yeah, I guess, is there anything else we need to say before we wrap up here? I think we covered just about everything.
I think we covered just about everything.
All right, cool.
If you want to be one of the people in our live audience for this, how do people do that?
Yeah, so we have a Patreon at patreon.com/Chip and Ironicast. If you're donating $5 or more per month, you get access to the live streams where we record these podcasts. And we answer lots of questions from email and Twitter and stuff, but also if you're in the chat, you can ask us right then and there, like Coolio did today. So donate there. If you're donating only $1 a month, that gets you privileges to vote on when I'm streaming. My streaming schedule cannot be every week. That's my life just does not allow that, unfortunately. But anytime I'm streaming, for the most part, you'll be able to vote. Sometimes I do streams where it's just like, this is what we're doing. But yeah, for only $1 a month, people recently have been voting a lot for me doing the PlayStation 2 grab bags, just tons of random dumb PS2 games I bought at, thrift stores and shit. And if you do want to see those streams, those always happen at twitch.tv/ChipCheesem. The archives do get uploaded to our YouTube channel. That the last 2 streams I did a while ago have yet to be uploaded because I've been a little lazy. My bad. Those will get up soon. We started playing an FMV game, Voidberger and I, called Tender Loving Care. which is it's one of those 90s psychology like therapist thrillers where they have no idea what mental health actually is or is about. So it's all very insensitive regards to that stuff, but it's also it feels a lot like Sam Barlow's work.
Okay.
So you know what you're getting to if you're aware of what like her story and all of his other shit is about, which is mainly horny voyeurism and dumb shit like that. They're really weird. It's a really weird, funny game.
Her story is another name for the Penthouse Letters column.
Yeah.
I never believed it would happen to me. It was my story.
Wow. But yeah, I think that's it. We'll be posting again when we're doing the, I guess, quote unquote, February podcast so that we can get caught up here. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. And we'll see you next quote unquote month.
See you next time. Good night, folks.